AITA for telling my supervisor the truth as to why my co-worker doesn't like me. AITA. I moved to a new city in early April for a job. At work I met this girl who is the same age as me and she was kind enough to invite me to her birthday dinner that weekend. It was my first invite and a chance to meet new people. At her birthday dinner I met a group of girls who were so kind and we exchanged social medias. They would go out every weekend and I went to a few of their outings. I also met this guy at my apartment's gym when I first moved in and we have been on 2 dates and text and call every day. I didn't expect to meet someone so quick but I really like him. I went out for brunch mimosas with my new friends and they were discussing relationships and guys. I brought up the guy I was seeing and they all went silent. One of them speaks and says that's her ex, they broke up last summer after a year and a half of dating. I said oh and it went quiet. After we left my coworker texted me saying that if I want to be cool with her and her friends, I can't date the guy I'm seeing since it's awkward and she hasn't got over him. I thought about it and when he invited me on another date and asked to be exclusive, it made me realize I didn't want to end things. This is a new group I just met and hung out with a few times. Plus I was only friends with my coworker and never spoke to her friend that dated him one-on-one. When I told her my decision, she called me fake and said I chose Dick over a true friend group and that the girl is devastated. At work she became very rude and doesn't speak to me and the team noticed. Our supervisor called us both in for a meeting asking what the issue was and she said that I chose to no longer want to be cordial with her. I told the supervisor the full story since that made it seem like I did something horrible and our supervisor was shocked. She said it's petty and to drop it and she expected better from my co-worker. When we were leaving she called me an asshole saying that I shouldn't have told the story and could have been vague and that I'm unprofessional and that she could lose her job since she's already on probation. AITA. AITA for replacing our fencing with a more private one? Throwaway. My husband and I have lived in our house for about 5 years with our 2 dogs. Our neighbors moved in about a year and a half ago. It's a couple with 2 young children, a boy and a girl under the age of 5. We both have decent-sized backyards, with a chain-link fence separating the 2 of them. Ever since the neighbors moved in, we have had issues with their kids bothering our dogs through the fence. Our 2 used to love lounging in the backyard with us. But now I can just barely get them outside to do their business. Almost immediately after the dogs are out, the kids come running out too. They rush the fence and yell and bang on the chain and try to call the dogs over. My boys do not like this at all and will retreat to the furthest side of the lawn or come right back in the house. Their parents never are outside with them but I sometimes see the mom watching them through the window. She never tries to stop them. I've tried to be neighborly about it. I've tried telling the kids, very gently, that they're scaring them. They pay me no mind. I've gone to the door and tried to talk to the parents, repeatedly. They either wave off my concerns or they just curtly say they'll have a talk with them. It hasn't worked. After about a year of this, we talked about putting up a larger privacy fence. We did the surveying, the permits, and everything is A-OK by the law and with our neighborhood code. We were on our waiting list and finally a few weeks ago a copy told us we were next on the list and could install in about a week. We took them up on the offer and took the 2 dogs out to my sister's farm where they got to run outside unbothered until their hearts were content while the work was being done. Well, things haven't been smooth since we got back. We didn't let our neighbors know because the whole thing was taking place on our property and they didn't need access through their property. Mama Bear stormed over after we got home and was absolutely seething. She said her kids were absolutely heartbroken that they couldn't see their dogs anymore because of what we had done. Her boy has autism and has apparently been inconsolable and they couldn't get a dog and this was the closest they will ever have. She told me what a selfish asshole I was. I tried to tell her that I've been talking to her about this issue for a year and it was a safety concern and never saw any progress and she just continued to yell until I shut the door in her face. AITA for being honest about my uncle who passed tragically. I am 29. Was recently invited to a memorial for my uncle who passed in a tragic accident many years ago. I will not get into too many details as his death was very public with some national coverage, but needless to say it was a horrific event. My family now holds a yearly memorial for his children and wife who he left behind. While I wholly support his wife and children and feel terrible for them, he was a horrible person while he was alive. Not only was he verbally abusive and extremely controlling, but he also was a serial cheater who could not keep it in his pants. His cheating and abusive tendencies were more or less an open secret and most people did their best to avoid him at family gatherings. However, as soon as he passed it was like my entire family completely forgot who he was. He became a perfect martyr that everyone remembered fondly, and I was scolded by my family anytime I would imply otherwise. While I always avoid these yearly memorials, my mother and father have been attempting to guilt-trip me into attending the next one, and we ended up having a heated argument during a recent family gathering where my extended family was present. The fight began like this. "Mom, Op, can you please come to Uncle's memorial on date? You never attend anymore and you need to be more supportive of your aunt and cousins." Me: "Mom, I already told you I have an important meeting that night that I can't miss. I'll visit them next month when I'm in town." Mom: "Op, you are disrespecting your family, and more importantly you are disrespecting your uncle. Every year that you're not present you are spitting on his legacy. You should be ashamed of yourself." Me: "Mom, I already told you I can't come, please just drop it." At this point my mom starts crying and my father starts yelling at me. "Dad, Op, I raised you to have more respect for you family. What is wrong with you?" I have had this conversation with my parents yearly, and it almost always ends with me apologizing to my mom and doing something special to make up it. I'm not sure why, but this particular year something in me just snapped. Me: "I am tired of everyone in this family treating Uncle's name like he was a good person. He was an asshole, and I'm not sad he's gone. You want to talk about disrespecting his legacy? His legacy as an abusive husband and a serial cheater? Why does everyone in this fucking family pretend like he had even one good quality? All of you talked shit about him constantly and said he didn't deserve his wife or kids. Luckily now he has neither, and his life insurance is paying for the kids' college funds. Please explain to me how that isn't a happy ending?" At this point my other uncles and aunts got up from the table to comfort my mother, who was sobbing, and I left before anyone could stop me. My younger family members agree with what I said, but all my uncles and aunts think I was wrong for speaking out my dead uncle like that. So am I the asshole? AITA for refusing to change for a double date with my stepsister? My 15F stepsister, Anna, 16F, is from a very conservative church. She has rules about how to dress, how to behave, what she can watch on TV, music she can listen to, and more. One of the rules is that she can't be alone with guys. She is dating a guy from the same church with the permission of her dad. They had been together for like 2 years and still haven't had a date alone. I had gone with them before and it was absolutely tedious. I had refused to go again. This infuriated my stepdad, but my mom backed me up. Her boyfriend won tickets for an amusement park, which is super expensive, but all their chaperones had plans for the weekend. I had no plans but refused. Anna begged me to go with them. I ended up accepting, but I would take someone to make me company. I ended up having some courage and inviting my crush to come. That day, I decided to use a short dungaree and a cropped. When Anna saw me, she asked me to change to something else. I told her no. I was happy and feeling cute. She told me my clothes are inappropriate and would make her and her BF uncomfortable. I told her they could just not look at me. She tried to get her father to make me change, but my mom backed me up. And I told her I would just give up on going then. I barely paid attention to them during the day, but did my function not letting them alone. When we got home Anna was sucking, but I didn't pay much attention and went to my room. The next day she asked me if I didn't have anything to apologize for. I told her no, but to tell me why I should. She told me I made them uncomfortable with my clothes and her boyfriend was looking at me all the time, and she had a fight with him because of this. I didn't see this. She blamed me for the fight, and told me it wouldn't have happened if I just changed my clothes when she asked me. I told her to blame her boyfriend. I wouldn't even think twice, but I was speaking with a cousin, who used to go to a similar church, and she told me I could have prevented all of this if I wasn't dressing up to impress my crush. I kinda doubting myself now. AITA for not sharing a reward with my family. My grandfather loved to use his metal detector whenever we went to the beach. He would spend hours just walking on the sand and finding coins and stuff. Every once in a while he would find jewelry, but what I remember most is him helping someone out. It was the end of the day and there was a family taking through the sand, obviously looking for something. My grandfather went over to see if he could help. They had lost their car keys. He went back to our car and unpacked his metal detector and found them in about 5 minutes. The family tried to give him money but he refused. I got into the hobby but not as seriously as him. When my family gets to the beach I want to swim and have fun. But I'd usually spend at least an hour looking for stuff with the detector my grandpa gave me. It reminds me of hanging out with him. None of the other grandkids ever showed an interest, so I'm the only one who got a detector. They all kind of think I'm a dork. Sorry for the long intro. My family got together for Memorial Day and I spent an hour on the beach with my detector. I hit the jackpot. I found a diamond ring. It was huge. I put it in my pocket and kept going. While I was having some food, a guy came up to us and asked me if I was the kid with the gadget. I said I was. He asked if I found a ring. I said I had. He said it was his wife's. My dad asked him to prove it. He pulled up a picture of the ring I found from his wedding the day before. I gave it back to him and he freaked out. I guess it was a family heirloom and worth a lot of money. But mostly his wife was literally puking her guts out for losing it. He pulled out his wallet and gave me $500. I said no, it wasn't necessary, but he insisted. He gave it to me and walked away. My cousins and sister think I should share the reward, but I didn't think that was fair, so I said no. They think I'm being greedy. My dad said I should share, but it was my choice. My mom said her dad would be proud of me for trying to not take a reward, but that I deserved it.